Hi, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Claims Never Sleep. I'm Meghan Henry, and I'm joined with my co-host, Jen. Hey, Jen.
Hello. I hope everyone's ready to laugh today.
That was my line. No, but it's so true. Everyone is in for a treat. This is like the most I've laughed on a podcast in a long time.
Yeah, he is absolutely hilarious. And I guess before I say he, I should let you explain who he is.
Yeah, so today we're joined by Bill Peters, and Bill has been in the insurance claims industry for, I think it's 20 years. And maybe he could double up as a comedian if this doesn't work out for him, because a lot of good laughs happening. So yeah, Bill handles public entity claims, but that's not where he started. That's kind of where he is now, and he talks about his journey in and out of claims as all our guests do. But everyone, you're in for a treat, so let's bring him in.
This is the Claims Never Sleep podcast, presented by Cruiser Mitchell, with your host, Meghan Henry.
Good afternoon, Bill. Welcome to Claims Never Sleep. We're so happy to have you today. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks. I'm happy to be here.
We are recording this. I mean, this episode will come out after the holidays, but we are on like the cusp of, in the middle of holiday hysteria. You were just telling us that you were just in New York doing all the New York City holiday things with your family. So, and I don't know if you have boys. I have girls. So my house is full of girly holiday like wind up going on here. Like all the gifts this year are expensive and small.
Yeah, it's all Legos in this house. It's like, remember DuckTales growing up, and Scrooge McDuck would dive into those coins. That's my house, but Legos. They're just everywhere. I step on them all the time.
You know what you should do is, next time they leave them out, like just create a challenge and then lay them all out, and then have your kids like see how far each of them can walk over them barefoot and see how far they get.
Oh, I like that, like Kevin McAllister Home Alone style.
Yeah, I don't know, some prize for whoever gets the furthest or something. Another set of Legos.
So did you? And I missed this conversation. Did you take them to the Lego store in Times Square when you were?
We did. There? Yeah, we spent too much time there. They got to design their own Lego. Yeah, and yeah, they loved it. They thought it was great.
We just did that with my son as well. And I said he talked to every employee at the store. And I was like, he's found his people. We are never leaving.
Well, that's neat. I've never been there. We went to there's another Lego. I mean, there's probably multiple Lego stores. We went to another one near the like Harry Potter, whatever it is, experience. But I don't think it's as massive as that one.
Yeah, this one's like two stories, just jam-packed with every Lego you can think of.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah, I do like Legos as a gift because like it gives them something to do.
Yeah.
Although I never know what to do with them once they're done. Do your boys like keep them assembled, or do they like assemble and then take apart?
Some they keep assembled, some they take apart. Like my youngest one has like a Star Wars, like Millennium Falcon, like that stays together. We have an R2-D2 that stays together. But a lot of like the City Connect ones, they all just go right back apart.
Yeah.
Bill, I feel like my son and your sons, they would be friends if we lived near each other, because it sounds like my house.
Absolutely. Yeah. My boys, they go nuts for Legos. They're nerdy kids.
Yes.
Which is great. I think that's great. They do, they do well in school. Like they generally listen and behave. It's wild. They get it. They don't get it from their mother. I'll tell you that much.
She's not going to listen to this, is she?
No, definitely not.
Well, Bill, you and I had talked some time ago, and I really enjoyed our conversation, and I think everyone's in for a treat today. But before we dive in, obviously this is a claims podcast, and everyone's journey into claims is so different. And I'm really curious to hear what your path was, because you've been in claims a long time. So how'd you start?
So it is a kind of a weird story in that prior to being claims, I was a college basketball coach. I went to St. Bonaventure University, where I was a team manager there, and then I was an assistant coach at Franklin Pierce College for a couple of years, and then a couple of years as a community college coach. And during that time, I think in my savings account, I had about 14 cents. And I'm like, this is just not going to work. So I started applying for a whole bunch of jobs. And I applied for a job with Entagon now. They used to be called GMAC. And I didn't hear back from them for like 4 months. And then all of a sudden they give me a call, and it's like, I'm calling on the claims adjuster job. Would you be interested in interviewing? And I said, yes. I had no idea what a claims adjuster was. And I also was not ambitious enough to Google it. So I walked into the interview with absolutely no clue what a claims adjuster was. And I did not do very well in the interview, I don't think. But I think I had a college degree and they were pretty desperate, and that worked out well.
Well, like, do you remember what sort of questions you were asked? Like, or did you realize during the interview, like, start to get an idea, like maybe this is what a claims adjuster does? Like, oh, this is insurance related.
Yeah. So I remember, like, you do all the basic stuff, your history, job history, all that stuff. And then it's, well, here's this car accident. How would you investigate it? And I'm like, well, I would ask the people what happened. And they're like, okay, what else? I'm like, there's else? Like, what? I mean, like, did the police show up? It's like, I don't know. Did they? Who's doing the interview here? I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I didn't think I did well when I left, but I got a call maybe a week later. I couldn't have been happier.
And so you started out there. What sort of claims did you cut your teeth with?
Yeah. So
what a claims adjuster did.
No clue. Personal line. So just personal lines, auto with no injury. Like, so just two people get into a moderate accident, no one's hurt, and you just investigate the liability, get the cars assigned out to shops, and then move on to the next one.
Yeah, that's a good place to start.
Yeah. And they did a great job. So they sent you down. So I was living in New York at the time, and they sent me down to Winston-Salem for 5 weeks of training. Like, I stayed in a hotel and trained at their facility for 5 weeks, and it was coverage and, like an auto shop and just, really thorough training that really laid a great foundation for everything that came after. It was and I met my wife down at that training too. So even better. So
your wife, was she doing the same training?
Yep. Yeah. She lived in St. Louis at the time, and I was in New York, and we both got hired, and we were there for 5 weeks together, and just, literally fell in love and went back to our respective cities and did a long distance thing for a year before we moved.
This is the first time I think we've had a claims romance story on this.
I have been pitching this movie to studios in LA. They don't want it. I don't know why. I think it's great.
Because you need to set it in New York or in like a small little, like you need someone needs a tree farm or something too. Yeah. And you need a Christmas aspect to it, and then it might sell.
Yeah, for sure.
I think my favorite part about this is that the fact that your wife also handles claims or has handled claims, and you're like, yeah, she's never going to listen to this.
No, she doesn't anymore. She did it for a year, and she did not like it, which I can't blame her. And so she had a history major, and she wanted to work in her field. So she's like, listen, like I lived in Albany at the time. It's like, there's some history in Albany, but not a whole lot. And so we agreed we moved to Charleston, South Carolina, because that would be the easiest place for her to get a job. And so I just started looking for jobs down there and got hired at Allstate as a BI adjuster, unrepresented. Mm-hmm. And then it just kind of took off from there.
So then you move to Charleston, you start working at Allstate, and you're handling, again, you're still handling motor vehicle BI claims at that point?
Just motor vehicle BI claims. Yeah. And so I moved down there, and then about 4 months later, she moved down there. And then a few months after that, our office closed, and I had to move to Charlotte, North Carolina. So now she's in Charleston, South Carolina, and I'm in Charlotte.
Oh my gosh.
And so that wasn't great. Like, we were hoping to spend a little more time together than that. But a weird set of circumstances. There was basically a homeowner's litigation position. Well, a homeowner's position that handled a lot of litigation, and they didn't have anyone for it. And they were just like, Bill, you're not the worst. Do you want to try and do this? And I said, yeah, what the heck?
Is this the recurring theme of your?
Yeah, that's what's gonna be on my tombstone. It's gonna say, "Here lies Bill Peters, not the worst." It's gonna be what it says.
And hopefully it's more than 13 cents in his bank account.
Yeah.
Also that, I am following this movie theme that you have going on, because one's pulled into one place and the other has to follow. You had to do long distance. I don't know why no one's picked this one up.
Yeah, that's what I'm. The question is, who plays me, right? they're the obvious Brad Pitt, George Clooney ones, but they might be. I get it if they're not. They might want someone a little younger, ages a little younger. So I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Chris Pratt, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, he's not bad.
No, listen, my boys love him. They're into dinosaurs. They love Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
Maybe he's listening to this podcast. I don't know.
It's highly likely, yes.
Yeah.
So the homeowner's position that you took, was that in back in Charleston, or
No, it was in Charlotte. So yep.
What ultimately ended up happening? Did your wife stay in Charleston, or?
Yeah, she stayed in Charleston until we got married, and then she found a job and moved up. Well, she moved to Charlotte and then found a job, and we were there for about another year. And I took a job at Nationwide, handling litigated files, and then they closed the Charlotte office, so we moved to Raleigh, North Carolina, and then we stayed here ever since. And I've bounced around. After Nationwide, I worked at a place called West Bend Mutual Insurance, just a fantastic place to work. And I was there for 5 years, no, 3 or 4 years, and then a couple of other stops before I landed at Network Adjusters.
I think what's not funny but interesting is, like, so earlier today we were doing a review with our admin who's just graduated college, and we were talking to her just about her future stuff, and we mentioned claims, and she made a comment like, yeah, I'm kind of interested in claims, but I don't really know what it is. And is that, I was like, well, we have, claims never sleep. That's like the people we talk to all the time. And she was like, oh, and we were just talking about, though, what a good career it is. And despite your example of offices closing, I think the takeaway from that is there was always another job.
Yeah.
Like, even with changes and shifts in like in the market, and there's always so many other jobs out there that you're so marketable, because you're going to be able to find something else.
No, absolutely. And I like to joke, but I love claims. Everything I have in my life, I pretty much owe to the insurance industry, whether it's my wife and kids or, the financial things that I like. All of it is due to claims. And I always consider it a noble profession. Like, it gets a bad rap, right? You got, plaintiff attorneys on there making me look like, like I'm the evil bad guy and everything like that. But I love the fact that when someone's hurt, and we're at fault, I get to help make them help. I get to help them and make them whole. When our insureds, have had damage, or, I get to make them whole. Or, if someone's trying to take advantage of the system, and, I get to stand up for our insureds. And I think it's just a very noble profession that I don't think that spotlight gets shown on it enough.
No, it doesn't. And you know what? Everyone, and I really mean every single person I've ever talked to in claims, said similar thing to you, though. Like, I just want to help people. We are just trying to help them. We get this bad rap. Insurance companies get this bad rap, but all we're trying to do is help either our insureds or third parties and pay them what they what they're due, and and figure out what that is. But it's just a general feeling of helping. Like, everyone in the industry just wants to help. Absolutely.
It feels good about yourself that you're helping. Like, our society could not function without insurance. Yep. Like, picture this country without insurance. What happens to it? You know what I mean? Like, someone you're in, someone they're out $40,000 between hospital bills and how much it costs to fix a car. Like, we're providing a vital service to make sure everything else functions.
Right. So then you're at West Bend, and what kind of claims were you handling there?
Yeah, so I was doing like excess surplus lines. So we insured things like minor league baseball teams and museums.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, it was great.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was I was in the major case unit, so it was a lot of larger cases. I also handled a lot of like sexual assault on minors in like daycares, which was fun. Part of the there's only so much of that I think you can do for some people. Like there are people who like they can do it, like, and they're great, kind people. Like they're not, you know, but they just have the ability, or I don't know if it's emotional maturity or whatever it is, to do that. I am not one of those people. I had a few years and I'm like, I can't take this anymore. Like, this is just awful. Like I lay in bed sleeping, thinking about it. And it's just, I had to go find something else.
Yeah, it is, I think, emotionally tolling. I used to do a lot of those kinds of cases, and you do have to like emotionally detach yourself from the facts, which can be challenging to do.
Yeah.
And it can take, and I think after I had kids, I had a harder time with it. Because you just think about it differently, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't do it, but you're kind of putting yourself in people's shoes. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I always told my manager, you wouldn't want me on that jury. Like, there isn't a number high enough for that type of case for me with a kid. Like, it would be crazy the numbers I would put up there. So yeah, I had to go. I mean, it's a great company, and I love the people there. I just could not do that type of work anymore.
Yeah.
And so I bounced around trying to find the right fit, and then landed at Network Adjusters.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit what you're doing now.
Yeah. So I am an IA, or I guess like I do a lot of program work. So we insure a lot of public entities. So a lot of water districts and police departments and fire stations and EMS and cities and towns and boroughs and anything you could think of like that. And I do everything from general liability to auto to civil rights, EEOC stuff, constitutional violations, all sorts of wild stuff that I never thought I'd be handling.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Think of your progression.
Yeah.
You started as, I don't even know what claims is. and basically doing, pretty much minor property damage claims to highly, highly complex matters now. I mean, that is like, if that can tell anyone what you can do in the insurance industry, I don't know what is a better example than that.
You just say yes. Like anytime anyone asks you to do something, just say yes. And it's incredible where you end up and what you do, the opportunities you get. Like to be on this podcast. Who would have thought?
But let's talk a little bit more about the claims you have now, because you put out on the phone. You said even that has changed over the years in the sense of kind of the dynamics of those claims is become more difficult, if I remember correctly.
Oh, absolutely. Like when I first started handling litigated files, the easiest example is I would say I'd go to mediations and they would settle 70% of my mediations would settle, maybe more. Mm-hmm. And now less than half for sure settle. It's just, it's a change. I think it's a change in how people view cases, and both sides probably, but obviously I'm pretty biased. So I tend to point the finger at the plaintiff side, but it used to be, we get in and I'd have a case range from $100,000 to $250,000, right? It could go anywhere in between there. And usually the plaintiff side would start maybe at 300,000 or 350, and I would start the low end of 100. And we find that number. Now you take that same claim, you got plaintiffs starting above the policy limits of $1 million. And maybe they get to 750. And it's just, well, if I can get the jury real angry, kind of like a reptile theory type thing, then I can get a big number. And that's fine. Like, certainly we see that happen from time to time. But to me, I value a claim on what it's worth based on the merits of the case. And I think that's the biggest trouble that I have nowadays is that I have the opposite side who I respect and like. I've got friends who are plaintiff attorneys, and they do a great job. And they're advocating for their clients, which is their job.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point, there's got to be a reasonableness standard in there.
Yeah. And like, are you finding though that it's like it's just a push to like that they're not taking certain numbers because they can, if they were to push it to trial, they know you have more, like especially with public entities, like there's more at stake, I think, for the defense side to go to trial and have something be public like that.
Yeah.
So they can kind of hold your feet over the fire.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a lot of that. I think there's a lot of like, we know how much it's going to cost for you to defend, and and you can't. I mean, they understand the insurance side pretty well. Like, they're savvy, smart individuals.
Yep.
You know what I mean? They know it's going to cost a lot to defend, and they know by going to trial, we're not eliminating any risk, which is what every carrier wants to do, right? We want to eliminate the risk, and they just leverage that like to the nine sometimes, and it's great for their client. Sometimes it's the detriment of their client. You know what I mean? Like, I always tell folks, since the court has reopened after COVID, I've had 13 of my cases go to trial. And I obviously have never tried a case, but I've sat there multiple times. And of those 13, one was a mistrial. And so then of the remaining 12, 9 were defense or defense favorable verdicts. And 3, I got hit pretty hard. Like, I lost pretty good. So like, they take that stance, but I just want to be like, is it in the best interest of your client, or is the best to find a reasonable settlement right now?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Of the 13, so the past 5 years or so, you've taken 13 cases to trial. How many cases have you had? Like, how many claims have been across your desk? Like, what percentage would you say you've taken?
Yeah, I mean, thousands. Thousands of them.
13's a pretty high number.
That's a high number, yeah.
So, you don't I mean, for attorney wise, like attorneys, you don't typically an attorney, you don't see that many cases go to trial in 13 years. On the claim side, the probability is you're going to see more because you just have more claims, but 13 is still a lot. And I have a few questions. So the ones that went, and I obviously speak generally. I don't want you to go throw out any specifics that you don't want to throw out there, but the ones that like hit high, were they in those scenarios, were they ones that it was a surprise, or was there like signaling, or was it just totally like you got whacked in the face? You're like, we did not, like, it didn't see it coming.
Yeah, I think maybe I should have seen it coming a couple times, like when you look back on it. But no, they were all like pretty surprising, but they were all the same situation. There were no liability arguments, and we were just arguing damages. And like, that's kind of my takeaway from that, is that those are not the type of cases you want to take to trial. Like, even if you think you got great, causality arguments, I find they are generally not winners.
I don't think juries listen to that as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is like, your experts go on last, right? Yeah. So if it's a 3-day trial, like, they're getting plaintiff experts while they're pretty fresh. And then your experts come in on the last day of, 4 or 5 days, and they can't wait to get out. And yeah, I don't know that, sometimes you get, I think more often than not, you have great juries. Like, I've had a lot of success, and a lot of those juries have, done what I thought was reasonable and prudent to do. But you will always have some that just, or they're savvy. I mean, like, jurors are probably smarter now than ever before. Like, they understand, like, even if they're not told there's insurance, they know there's insurance.
Yes.
And if once, especially for auto cases, like, they got that figured out pretty good. And it makes a difference. It makes a difference on how they view it and how they value it.
And the ones too that hit, were they in jurisdictions that tend to be places that you like have bad juries, surprising jurisdictions? Yeah.
No, they were more what would be considered conservative venues. The three, they were, more rural places that you would have think you've done pretty well. And I had insureds that were good insureds. Like there were no, like sometimes you get like an insured that doesn't do well in front of a jury and you're like, oh man, you know what's going to happen. On these, I had good insureds too. They really, they did a good job. They cared about the claim. They cared about what happened. One was a UI where the insurance company was the defendant. So I think that, I look back at it now, I'm like, why didn't I just settle that? Like, why did I push that all the way through? Like, I should have known that was going to happen.
And I asked this because I from experience, like on as a backstory, I took a case to trial when I was my very first solo trial, and it was one of those ones that it was a case that wasn't mine. It got handed over to me because someone like quit or ran away or whatever they did, ran to the hills, and I had to take this case to trial, and it started to go poorly, and our guy was terrible, and I remember making multiple calls to my adjuster being like, this is not going well, like we need to settle this, and the adjuster actually didn't call me back. I like the jury was like out, and I'm like, we need to settle this before this jury comes back because I don't think it's going to come back very good. And he didn't call me back, and then the jury came back and slammed, like it was an ARB appeal that went for well over the ARB limits. And in any event, I remember walking back to my office, like pretty much in tears, going to the partner being like, I'm going to get fired. Like this is like it, and being just terrified for my job. And everything was fine. But I asked this because in those cases that it goes totally south, how did your counsel handle it? Because if I were your counsel, I'd be like, man, Bill, like,
no,
we're in it together too. I'm sure you called them back too.
Well, two of them I was actually there, watching, and like one time where we got hit pretty hard, I was like, this is going to go for about double what I thought it was going to go for. And, I called and they were like, well, let's just play it out, was what we decided. And then it went for like 5 times what I thought it was going to go for. I was like, oh, well, but you never know. And it can change so quickly. You know what I mean? Like it can just be like one person's testimony and they may say something that barely has anything to do with the case, but it somehow just resonates with the jury and it just changes everything on a dime. Like, that's why, it's so much better. Even though I've had a lot of them, I always prefer to settle if I can. Like if it's for a reasonable amount, right? That's meritorious. We're not just gonna throw money out there, but you give me good reasons, I will go get it done.
Yeah, and that is, I feel like that is the juggle, right? Going to trial is such a risk, but you're not going to want to overpay, especially like on a matter that, like, if you have those liability arguments, because I hear you on the damages. Damages at trial is not, I don't think it's preferable, but if you have those good liability arguments, you have to do that weighing factor too. Because I also feel like when juries listen to experts, as much as we need them, they don't listen to experts because they're boring.
They are boring, and it's it's over their head too a lot of times. Like sometimes it's over my head. Like, I'll sit there and like watch a deposition that was videoed and I'll be like, I don't even know what this guy's saying. Like, and I'm an adjuster for almost 20 years, handling BI for most of that. And it's like some of these words, some of these body parts I didn't even know existed. And it's just, that's when I'm like, that's not the expert for us. Yes.
I feel like the juries are won over by like openings, closings, and they pay attention to certain parts of testimony, like certain parts, and not always the parts that you think that they are going to.
Absolutely. And Yeah, I think just a moment, like, and it's hard to predict, like, and it's also important to remember, like, I can watch a deposition or read a deposition and I go, geez, I don't think that person presented well. But, I am a person who was born and raised in New York, upstate New York, right? Lived in the Northeast for most of my life. So I think and act, talk a certain way. And when I see someone from a different part of the country, there are built-in default things that I think about. And maybe, that maybe I don't think that presents well. But when they're in front of a group of people who are also like them, actually, I'm the one that doesn't present well, right?
Yes.
Like,
yeah,
it's the opposite. So you just got to be mindful of that. Like, I'm always hesitant to say, like, this person doesn't present well, because you don't know who they're presenting to. So there's no way to know if they're going to present well.
Yeah. But with public entity claims, so you're dealing with a lot of police officers and firefighters, and you would think that would do well, right, in front of a jury. But then there's places it won't. Like,
Yeah.
And that's
exactly
a huge
right.
factor.
Yeah, I mean, this country is fairly divided on police right now. Like, there are some people who love them and stand by them through almost anything, and there are other people who they can't do anything right. I mean, every time they do anything, they're wrong. So it's almost impossible, like to know. That's why, there's no crystal ball, right? So you got to go ahead and just take the facts as they are, assume everyone is going to present well and be honest, and just find the best resolution that you can.
Yeah. But have you found, though, sometimes with, like, those organizations that you get, like, inside pressure to resolve too? I imagine, even if things aren't aligning, but I imagine there is pressure to push it over the line.
You get it both ways. You get sometimes that we're not going to pay. We don't want to pay anything ever. And if we pay a dime, calls are being made and everyone's real upset. And then sometimes you have the exact opposite. They want to get a claim and we don't care if it's 2-3 times what it's worth. We just want this done. And, like, I think it's important for adjusters to remember your first job is to protect your insured, right?
Yes.
Above all else, that is the first job. Now, that doesn't mean you always do what they want, but, like, you have an opportunity to eliminate the risk for them. Like, you got to take it under consideration. You got to really think about it hard. And it's not, I always tell folks, it's not my money, right? I'm not paying, this money isn't coming out of Bill Peters' bank account. No. So I don't treat it that way. And you evaluate it fairly, but it's not, I don't consider claims winning or losing. Like, I don't, when I'm negotiating a claim, I'm not winning or losing a negotiation. I am just negotiating, trying to get it resolved based on the facts. And if it does, that's great. If it doesn't, that's okay. We just keep moving forward until we can figure it out.
I think it makes it so hard because, kind of as what you were saying in the beginning, and a lot of the people who come on this podcast talk about is, I went into claims to help people and I want to be there for them and make them whole. But that middle ground of what's fair just keeps moving so far to one side that it's like you and I are assessing it at, this is what's fair. This is what's going to make you whole. And they're like, well, that person got $4 million more than me because they took it to a jury. So I'm going to go for that.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I started handling claims in like 2009, 2010. And the difference between a settlement then and a settlement today in 2025 is just, it's wild. It's absolutely wild.
It really is. I mean, that's why I think it's important, like, to keep learning to, like, pay attention to what's going on around you, right? Like, everything evolves and everything changes. And you look at, I mean, every American is experiencing it today with this, money. $1 million even 15 years ago isn't nearly what $1 million, it's not the same today. And so you're going to see that you're going to see that across the board in everything you do. And one of the places is going to be jury verdicts. And you can't, if you do, like, jury verdict research, you go back 20 years, that data.
No, it's nonsense.
It's not very useful anymore, I don't think.
Yeah. Whenever I do it now, I try to limit it to, like, honestly, the last, like, 3, maybe 5 years. It's always post-COVID because I feel like that was a big change point. And like the earlier stuff, it's like useless, really. Like, I wish that would be my benchmark. I wish I could settle that for 20,000, but I know I can't. I wish I could.
Yeah, and it's and I think it's complicated too because it used to be you could get summary judgments granted, like at least the venues I handled.
Yeah,
like you didn't get them 50% of the time, but you got them maybe 35% of the time, right? If the meritorious ones, now I 10%, and you know what I mean, so that's a big piece of leverage for negotiation that has kind of gone by the wayside nowadays that you used to have that you don't anymore. So you got to kind of be creative and come up with new ways to to push those buttons.
Yeah, gone are the days that you file that summary judgment motion on the eve of mediation. Be like, but I have that motion pending. Now they'd be like, okay.
Yeah, great.
Why'd you waste your time doing that? I hope you had fun writing it.
you always got to do it. I always tell the attorneys that I work with, like, if we should file a motion, like if there's grounds for it, I want to file it. At the very least, it creates appeal potential later on down the road if something does go south. So it's always, even if you don't think you're going to win, if there's grounds for it, I always file it. But when you're evaluating your claims and assessing your risk, you just got to make sure you're putting the proper weight on it. Yeah.
Well, even talking about mediation, I mean, in some venues, mediation costs have also gotten completely out of control. So it becomes like a real, like, do we want to do this? Is it worth the $20,000, $25,000 that you're paying in California? Which I just realized this like about a year ago, and I'm still in shock, and I still talk about it.
Yeah, no, it's a lot. And it's one of those things as you do it long enough. When I first started, I'm like, I don't know why we do this. Why can't I just call the plaintiff attorney and why can't we just have this conversation? But I think it's become, there's more and more plaintiff attorneys in the market now than ever before. And so there's more competition, right? And so when a plaintiff walks into a plaintiff attorney's office, what attorney are they going to choose? The one that's like, listen, I think this case is worth $50,000, or the one that says, I think it's worth $1 million and I can get it for you, right? Mm-hmm. They're going to choose that one. And so that one then sets huge expectations that become difficult to meet as, they start hearing the other side of the case. And they now rely on that mediator to be the bad guy, right? To kind of show them the warts on the case because they've created this relationship. And this is what, I'm not just speculating. This is what plaintiff attorneys have told me. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it's a problem, for them too. Like a lot of times there's so many client control problems today, way more than it used to be 10 years ago.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, we see that all the time, like, as well. It's because you can't, like, and I've, you need it. Like, just like you said, you need the mediator for that reason. They need to be the bad guy because otherwise I'm like, we need to go to mediation. Otherwise this won't get settled. Me just calling counsel, as good as our relationship is, as reasonable as they are, they've unfortunately not always created a monster, but sometimes they've created a monster with these expectations. And sometimes they just have unreasonable clients, though, that doesn't matter what they say to them. They always just think their case is worth $1 million. And even if it's not.
Absolutely. And that's because, like those verdicts get published, you know what I mean? Like they're in newspapers, they get through LinkedIn, they get, every which way. And like, I don't think we do such a great job at celebrating our victories, whether it's at trial or if you win a motion. You see it sometimes, like in LinkedIn, but like a newspaper, if there's $1 million verdict, you can bet your bottom dollar that's on the news. But if that same thing loses and gets nothing, unless like a celebrity's involved, you're never going to hear about it.
Yeah.
So it just creates a false narrative about what you can do if you sue.
Absolutely. And especially now with the inflated numbers too. Like it's
the plaintiff's bar just does such a good job of promoting itself, and I feel like they do it kind of unified. So even though there's so many of them out there, they do kind of try to all portray the same message. Whereas I think sometimes insurance companies and defense firms just don't do the same thing. They're just not as good at it.
Yeah, and I think it's easier to promote like like what type of defense, how does that advertisement look if you're a defense counsel, right? Did you get sued for $10 million? Come higher up. Like, like, that's not, people aren't signing up for that. But were you in a car accident 2 years ago at 10 miles an hour, but didn't get any money? They're like, come talk to us. It's like, oh yeah, it was.
They're also kind of like, they're publishing all of their wins. Like, so great. I get one $2 million case. Like, but I settled 200 more for $5,000. Like, nobody's talking about those.
Yeah.
It's like they're highlighting that 0.001%.
Yeah. And I do think, like, we don't, sometimes it's sad, right? Like, sometimes, like, I won one of the cases that I won, a woman died. And we just weren't liable for it. Like, I'm not going this lady's dead and we paid nothing. Yeah. Right. Like, that's not nice. Like, that's not a world we want to live in. Like, you shake everyone's hand and say, I'm sorry for your loss. And then you just move on to the next one. But if you're going to, like, it's difficult to change the landscape of that unless you're going to be a little jerky about it, which is not my recommendation.
Well, and then it would work against the image that the insurance industry is definitely trying to get rid of. That they're not the big bad insurance company. They are actually trying to help people, but within reason. Like, we're not going to just pay out on a claim that there's not coverage for, or that we're not liable for, or our insured is not liable for, I should say. Like, had that woman been, had your insured been liable for that the woman who passed away, or it would be different,
Correct.
But
we would have settled it.
Yeah,
absolutely. So it's it's a tough, and it's a great time to be alive, I'll tell you. It's it is. Well, wait, AI ain't going to figure this out anytime soon. There aren't going to be robots doing this job for at least 20 years, maybe even 20 years they'll be doing it. But
and I'm glad you brought up AI though. Are you utilizing that on your end internally, like at any frequency? And I asked because I had a good conversation with opposing counsel yesterday about AI and how he was using it. So now I'm asking a lot of people about it.
Yeah, so I think it's important to realize that I'm 44 years old, but I'm like 72 at heart. Like, so I don't mess with computers all that much. I still do a lot of things how I did them. How I was taught to do them. You know what I mean? Like, I could get like a demand package and there's a button to click and it's like, we can summarize this for you. And I'm like, yeah, but do I trust that? I probably should. Like, I mean, I think it's there. Like, everyone else tells me it is, but I just got to see it for myself. I'm a doubting Thomas, I guess.
You should be, though, because that is, I think, the word of caution with the AI. First of all, AI is developed by humans. Think about it. But also, like, you can use it as at least my thoughts are, use it as a tool, but you can't just blindly use it and think it's gonna give you the correct results. And you also have to be very skilled at the prompts that you're giving it. Again, I was talking to this counsel yesterday, and he was saying how he is dabbling with it more and more, and he used it recently at a trial, and he found it to be very effective in developing lines of questioning for him. And he's like, and I even use it now to check, like, I have my answer already, and I give it the information, and I want to see what it comes out with, and it matched my answer. I was like, that's a great way to start, like, using to see if it's using it in the way that you would think so, if it's saving you time, but getting, kind of getting you the same results. And he said with trial, he said the questioning was the questioning was spot on and insightful and very, very helpful. But it sounds like it was more of a, not plug it in, spit it out, and then use it. It was more of a work progress back and forth, which is how I think it should be used.
Yeah, that sounds great. And I probably won't do that. I'll probably just keep doing what I'm doing. But no, it's it just seems like more work, right? Like, if I'm gonna read it and do it anyways, why am I then gonna take that information, put it all in there, take the time to put it all in there, and then read what it spits out to make sure it matches what I already did? Like, I can just do it myself. And like I said, I know that's not the right answer. Like, 10 years, if I say that, I'll be an idiot, and maybe I'm an idiot right now. But I'm not there with it yet.
No, but it's hard. Like Megan and I will both say, like, I'll use it to prompt, like, okay, I'm researching an issue and say, like, look up this case or look up and see if there's any case law like relevant to blah, blah, blah. Half the time, the case site is completely made up. Like they will just make up stuff.
Nonsense.
And
yeah.
the fact that there are lawyers who just like blindly believe that and pop it into emotion is just wild because like I'll look it up in Lexis and I'm like, ChatGPT, this is not a real case. Like, what are you talking about? Like, where did you find this?
And why does it do that? That's what I don't like. Like, why is it doing that? Like, to me, it's, like they always reference like Terminator and stuff like that. But like, is it trying to please? Like, is it trying to trying to make you happy? Because if it is, that makes me nervous as all get out.
Right. Like, I don't need it to tell me I'm okay. I'm right. Like, please tell me I'm wrong. And like, please.
But, I mean, and as much as we obviously learned how to do legal research in law school, I mean, it's like what you learn in your first year. Like, it's nice to just like have like instead of Googling it, like just have like a jumping off point just to kind of start. But no, it's not very good at that.
Well, and yes, and I think like even we could digress into how it affects kids, but like even like I have an almost 13-year-old, and they use it so much outside of school to help them with school, and then I'm like, I think these are like basic concepts that are like the bottom layers of everything else you're going to learn in your entire life. I feel like you should be using AI for this.
20 years, no one's going to know anything. Like, we're not going to have any foundational knowledge. It's just going to be like, what's 30 times 3? And they're just going to ask A and it's going to say 90. And that's going to be that, right? Like no one's going to know how to do anything anymore.
I know.
Well, you were talking before about your son being your sons being nerds, and my son is also like a huge nerd, and I don't know how I would have been his parent before Google and before AI, just because he asks me so many questions, and I'm like, dude, I have no idea. Like you can ask Google. The other day he said something about like my daughters were fighting, and he was like, we need to go back to the Treaty of Ghent and see what they put. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, the treaty that ended the War of 1812. And I was like, I don't know anything about the War of 1812. And then he started like spitting out all these facts. I'm like, dude, where did you learn this?
Where did he learn that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what made him like prompt Google to tell him about the War of 1812, but he did. I would have to have a full encyclopedia set. Like if I were parenting back in the 80s and 90s, I don't think there'd be, but then he would like know everything about A's and then he'd go on to B's. I don't know.
Yeah, my kids aren't that nerdy. They don't work that hard. I'll tell you that much. Like they just really like computers and they really like their tablets and they like their comic books. And I'm a big sports fan, and I can't get them I can't get any of them to watch a game with me. None of it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if like even just because you coach basketball, even if they're not sporty, you can get them to play a little bit. No interest at all.
No, I mean my 10-year-old plays, and he's he's learning and he's trying hard, and he's in there holding his own, but you can just tell like it's not what he wants to be doing. Like, and he also does some acting and stuff, so he's just into other stuff. Yeah, which is great, right? Saves me. I don't got to drive all over creation like my parents did to games and stuff like that. So that's a plus. Just go to the same spot every time. I like that.
Yeah.
But it's funny how like they're nothing like you. Sometimes they are, but in a lot of ways they're so different.
So into like computers, my son and his Christmas list this year is like a DisplayPort cable, an RX 5070, something like a new graphic card. All these, I'm like, dude, I have no idea what you're even talking about.
Yeah. My son's into coding, and he's just coding all the time. And I'm like, like 20 years ago, I'm like, dude, that would be great. Like, but I'm pretty sure that's the first job AI is taking.
Yeah.
Coding, right. That's the thing they're going to do first. Right.
Are they saying, because like the other thing is my son wants to be a gamer and a streamer when he grows up?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, all the YouTube channel stuff is unbelievable. Like all these people they watch, and it's really, I always tell my wife, it's just a bunch of idiots acting like jerks and like that's what they watch. Like, it used to be like you'd watch a show and there was a hero and a bad guy, and you see them go through adversity, and and then they overcome it, and that's the moral of the story. My son watches some guy push another guy in a garbage can. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what the moral of this story is, but I don't think it's making him smarter, right? I don't think it's building, like an ethos for him. Like, it's just trash.
My husband says the same thing. He actually blocked YouTube from the router, so like nobody can get on it, which is a little unfortunate because sometimes like I would like to use YouTube to look at things.
Yeah,
it was the only way because he was otherwise like my son found ways to get around it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah, and I use YouTube. I couldn't do anything without it. Like changing a light fixture, I need YouTube. Like installing a garbage disposal, YouTube. Like I certainly can't do that on my own, and I have little to no desire to pay someone to do it for me. So it's YouTube's very helpful, but I don't know, for kids it just seems I don't know why it registers with them like that. Like why it's so obsessive.
And I probably shouldn't say this, but my husband won't be listening to this either. He actually YouTubed a couple of years ago. My daughter dislocated her elbow, and he YouTubed how to put it back in.
Oh my gosh!
He's a doctor.
He's a doctor,
but not that kind of doctor. But still, yeah, he YouTubes not his own medical procedures, not for his patients, for his children.
Oh man.
Yeah, but I think like my kids aren't as into YouTube. Maybe it's a girl versus boy thing, but mine are more into like the families on YouTube and but I'm watching them, and every single one I'm watching, and I'm like, I think there's more going on that they're not showing you. Like, I'm like, there's going to be an expose on this family. They got kids. They're hiding them in closets or something. There's something not good going on. Every single one, I think there's something weird happening. And I can't default to them. Maybe they're just a nice family, because I'm like, I don't think they're nice. There's something more. Yeah.
Well, it really sets an unfair expectation. Like, my son has watches one where this kid or this dad plays with his kids like all the time. Right? Because that's what he's been on. And so he's like, Dad, play with me. I'm like, no, like, I'll play with you a little bit, but there's stuff to do. Like, I can't sit here and play. It's like, this guy's dad plays with him all the time. It's like, yeah, but that's his job.
Yeah.
And I want to be like, you're just not that cute. Like, I can't put you on YouTube like that.
Yeah, or the monetary expectations. Like, this morning, my daughter and her friends are talking about, like, yeah, did you see on that family they got like 50 different jelly cats, and they just had a jelly cat extravaganza. I was like, well, that costs a lot of money. Have you seen the price of these jelly cats? I was like, that's like, yes, because they're making money off that video, so they're gonna post this video and they're gonna have 1 million views, and so they don't care if they spend an exorbitant amount of money on $30 stuffed animals. But now it's a profession, apparently. So
it's something.
But they all aspire to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me at least, it was that, right? You wanted to be a pro athlete, right? Or a singer or an actor, right? Those were the things. And now I guess it's kind of similar to acting. I think it seems more attainable too. You know what I mean? Like, I think they look at it and go, I can do that. Yeah. Like, I knew at a young age I couldn't be 7 foot and jump, and jump through the roof. I knew that was never going to be me pretty early on. So, but here, like, there's no reason why they can't do it. They're not doing anything that is like so special that 90% of the population can do it. But
especially if they see other kids doing it too. You see what that Salish matter.
Yes.
First of all, I find her very annoying. But like, her dad basically decided, I'm going to make you a YouTube star, and he succeeded.
Yes. She's worth so much money. He quit his job. I mean, Bill, I don't know if you're familiar with Salish Matter, but
it's a girl side thing. Yeah.
But like, her dad, Jordan Matter, his name is, he was a famous photographer in California, like took pictures of famous people. So he had a lot of connections, and like decided his daughter, who's about 16 now, when she was maybe 8 or 10, like, I'm going to make her into a YouTube star. And he did. Now she has like a full line at Sephora. And like, it's insane. And they just do silly little, they pull like silly pranks on people, and they feel each other.
That drives me nuts. And I also, like, you're not contributing. Like, that's the thing that I tell, like my boys is like, you need to find a job that contributes to society, right? Like going back to the claims piece, that's why I like, like, we help everything function, right? For better or worse, like we're here contributing so everyone else can live the lives, that hopefully they want. And it's a social contract that we all have, or that we used to have, that like we all take a job that helps society collectively move forward. And it's just like, I just don't see how like the YouTube people or the influencers, like how is that helping society? Like, I just don't think it is. Even if it's not hurting, it's not helping.
No, and I think it goes back to what you said earlier. Like, where were the shows with like a plot, right? Like, where?
Yeah.
With like people not just constantly like talking at each other. Like, I really think that's so they can't have like conversation. The one time one of my kids is like, what do you and your friends just like talk about when you're together? I'm like, we have conversations. Like, I feel like that is going to become a lost art, which is just incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they don't talk to, they just like they text little things back and forth and don't actually have a conversation.
Yeah. It's and I just think like, like lessons learned, you know what I mean? Like, you model, like everyone like wanted, like growing up, like you want to be like a superhero, like whether it's Superman or whatever, like, what were the characteristics of that character that you admired, and like, and then you try to emulate that, to a certain extent. Like, I'm not flying around, at least that you know of. And, but yeah, now it's just like when they watch a video, it's like, oh, instead of looking at a characteristic, this person has that. This person has 30,000 glitter kitties or whatever you said it was. I forget. But
Jelly cats.
Jelly cats, yeah. But again, it's not about like a characteristic of a person. It's about what someone has, or or where they went, or what they did, or what they're wearing. Instead, I don't know. Like, I have great concerns, and we're, this is a claims podcast, but
yeah.
Well, that's it. We digress all the time. But having said all that, we are nearing the end of our time, and I don't want to close up without asking you this, so Bill, because you've been in the industry for so long, and you admittedly got in really accidentally, or not accidentally, but unknowingly.
Yes, unknowingly, correct.
But knowing what you know now, what advice would you give your younger self?
Oh, geez. Just trust your. I just say. I think, like I said, just say yes. Like, I think that's the thing. Especially when I started in claims, anytime there was like an extra project or a new type of claim that hadn't been handled, and you're asked to handle it, even if you're afraid to do it, like, just say yes. Just go do it. Like, it just leads to opportunities, and just believe in yourself, because everyone, right? Being a claims adjuster is not rocket science. It's really not. The biggest thing is just work hard and try to be pleasant to deal with, and and do your best. And it's a great industry. It gives like, there's no real class, like you can't go to college to be a claims adjuster per se. There are some insurance programs, right? So like, everyone, they're just soft skills that I think most people innately have. And as long as you're willing to go out there and get it and just do it, like, it can provide you a really great life. Like, I find insurance is one of the few things that the more I put into it, the more I get out of it. Mm-hmm. Like, every time I've gone the extra mile, I've been rewarded for it. Like I said, and like, if without insurance, I wouldn't have met my wife. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't, obviously, then I wouldn't have my kids. And all the things I've been able to do, I've been able to travel across the country to go to mediations and see towns and places and meet people I would have never been able to do without it. So, like, I really encourage it for people as a profession, even though it gets rated as like a pretty bad profession. Anytime you read an article that ranks like the top 10 worst jobs, claims adjuster is usually on there right below attorney. So it's
and I disagree with both of that. Like, I disagree so much with, like, I hate when I hear lawyers say, oh, like, I'm gonna tell my kid not to go to law school, and I think that's terrible advice.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, you could do so much with being a lawyer, and even if it's not being a lawyer, and like same thing with like going to claims and insurance. Like there's so much career ahead. I don't like those lists. I disagree.
Yeah, I vehemently disagree, and yeah, it's given me a lot, and I'm internally grateful for the industry as a whole and all the people in it. So it, I want my kids to pursue what they want to pursue, right? And like no 10-year-old is one listening to this podcast, and then two is no 10-year-old's dreaming about being a claims adjuster, right? Lord knows I wasn't.
No,
but like if you fall into it, like you go give it your all, like just do it, and I think it's very rewarding.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree, and I think you just gave us a great sound bit too. You were a great advertisement for the insurance and claims industry.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Well, Bill, it's an absolute pleasure sitting down and chatting with you. You're hilarious. Like I've laughed a lot this afternoon, and I love when that happens on the show. But of course, for everyone listening, if you like what you hear, please like and subscribe to Claims Never Sleep. You can find us on your favorite streaming platform as well as YouTube, but not at Jen's house because you can't get it there.
This is the Claims Never Sleep podcast, presented by Cruiser Mitchell, with your host, Meghan Henry.